It's an indictment more than 2 decades in the making.
Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates and helped him exploit girls who were as young as 14 years old.
Ghislaine Maxwell, longtime girlfriend of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, arrested and charged for her alleged role in the recruitment and sexual abuse of young girls.
Maxwell and Epstein had a method. Typically, they would befriend these young girls by asking them questions about their lives, pretending to be taking an interest in them. They would take them to the movies and treat them to shopping trips. Maxwell would encourage these young girls to accept offers from Epstein to pay for their travel and their education, making these young victims feel indebted to Jeffrey Epstein.
Investigators say Maxwell played a critical role in what has long been believed to be a sex trafficking operation spanning decades and crossing continents.
After developing a rapport with the victims, Maxwell then tried to normalize sexual abuse with a minor victim through a process known as grooming. For example, Maxwell would discuss sexual topics with the victim and undress in front of the victim, or be present for sex acts involving the minor victims and Epstein. Maxwell's presence as an adult woman helped put the victims at ease.
The 18-page indictment claims that between 1994 and 1997, Maxwell knowingly facilitated Epstein's access to victims, knowing his preference for underage girls.
Maxwell and Epstein worked together to entice these minor victims to travel to Epstein's residences. His residence in New York City, on the Upper East Side, as well as Palm Beach, Florida, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. Some of the acts of abuse also took place in Maxwell's residence in London, England.
Investigators have also charged Maxwell with perjury for allegedly lying during a 2016 deposition.
Maxwell lied because the truth, as alleged, was almost unspeakable. Maxwell enticed minor girls, got them to trust her, then delivered them into the trap that she and Epstein had set for them. She pretended to be a woman they could trust.
Maxwell's indictment comes almost a year after Epstein's own indictment on federal charges of sex trafficking minors in Florida and New York. Epstein was found dead in his jail cell a month later, the medical examiner ruling his death a suicide.
As an Epstein survivor, this day represents a new beginning. This is the beginning of justice, which we survivors have been seeking for decades.
That was Maria Farmer, who claims both she and her sister were abused by Epstein and Maxwell in the early 90s. While Maria's allegations were never prosecuted, investigators are hoping Maxwell's indictment will help heal old wounds.
There never was, nor shall there be, an excuse for the criminal behavior you were subjected to. We know that your quest for justice has been met with great disappointment and that reliving these events is traumatic. The example set by the women involved in this investigation has been a powerful one. They persevered against the rich and the connected, and they did so without a badge, a gun, or a subpoena, and they stood together.
The arrests in this case may not end with Ghislaine Maxwell.
The target is not just this woman. The target is the entire organization that allowed this kind of perpetual, systematic, and habitual abuse to exist out in the open for so long. I will not be surprised at all if there are additional arrests, additional people brought in, both unknown and possibly very famous. This is a black book filled with a lot of big names, and people are running scared.